19 months after the inauguration of President Barack Obama and 95 days into the Gulf oil disaster, comprehensive energy legislation has died a quiet, lonely death. And in our fourth story, the replacement bill, which does next to nothing for energy reform, is pleasing just about no one. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid offered the new bill since the votes simply weren't there for the comprehensive measure. Even Democratic senators from industrial and coal-producing states were not on board. And the new bill could hardly be called scaled down since it bears almost no resemblance to comprehensive energy legislation. The new bill is pegged to the Gulf oil spill and would increase liability costs for oil companies responsible for spills. The bill would also include incentives for home energy efficiency and encourage the production of vehicles powered by natural gas, among other small-bore provisions. The bill might be taken up in the Senate within the next 2 weeks. The legislation would not include a cap on greenhouse gases or a nationwide mandate for renewable energy. Senator John Kerry, the co-sponsor of the Senate energy bill that was abandoned, said that the new bill was, quote, admittedly narrow. And Obama administration official told the Washington Post that the White House was not packing its bags on a comprehensive energy bill, but, quote, we're not interested in a vote that's not going to succeed. Let's bring in the co-founder and editor-in-chief of the Huffington Post, Arianna Huffington, also author of the upcoming book, Third World America, How Our Politicians Are Abandoning the Middle Class and Betraying the American Dream. Arianna, I'm in Las Vegas with the Netroots Nation convention this weekend, and I'm having trouble convincing the Netroots Nation that this is the way the Senate works. When you don't have the votes, you just move on. That was my experience working in the Senate, but no one here wants to hear that. What's wrong with giving up when you don't have the votes?
But Lawrence, you know perfectly well as a student of history that you never have the votes for anything major. That's what Lyndon Johnson told Martin Luther King in March 1965 when they met about the Voting Rights Act. And Martin Luther King went out and the Selma March happened, and a few months later, somehow we had the votes. Even with the health care bill, you know, Nancy Pelosi didn't have the votes until she had the votes, until she made deals and twisted arms, and suddenly she had the votes. So this is a major piece of legislation. It's an imperfect one, the one that just died, but major. And so it would have required a lot of leadership, which is the only way that you create the votes.
Why hasn't the White House and the Democrats been able to develop, jump off from the emotional base created by this oil spill, which begins with an industrial homicide that kills 11 people and then gets into this great, extraordinary environmental disaster in the Gulf? There's a tremendous amount of emotional reaction to that in the country, and apparently none in the Congress.
Well, Lawrence, that's what stuns me the most. I mean, the president on June 15th, when he addressed the nation, spoke like that. In fact, I just want to remind you of his exact words. He said, now is the time to embrace a clean energy future. Now is the moment for this generation to embark on a national mission to unleash America's innovation and seize control of our own destiny. Now, you cannot speak in such grand terms about our own destiny, about innovation, about a clean energy future, and then do nothing. That is, for me, what creates that incredible loss of trust in this administration. It's better to say nothing if you're going to do nothing.
And who are these Democratic senators from coal states and industrial states? I mean, who are killing this thing, and why isn't there any Democratic Party pressure on them?
Well, we know for sure Jay Rockefeller is one of them. Claire McCaskill was on the fence. She had not said how she would vote, but she was one of the 8 Democratic senators who back in February signed a letter to Lisa Jackson at the EPA opposing the agency's regulations of greenhouse gases. Carl Levin of Michigan, Sherrod Brown of Ohio, the usual industrial state Democrats who who are not willing to see beyond the very, very short term at this country's future, which has to be about innovation and clean energy, which is also a great way to create millions of new jobs.
Now, there's some talk of revisiting a comprehensive bill in a lame duck session of Congress after the midterm elections, after presumably the senators who have lost their seats on the Democratic side are comfortable in their retirements, and the ones who've been able to hold on to their seats are confident enough to vote for something like this. But, Ariana, that sounds to me like some sort of carrot that they're holding out for people who still have hope for something comprehensive. It doesn't sound like a likely strategy. Does it sound possible to you?
No, it's pure fantasy, Lawrence, because after all, there are going to be setbacks in this election for Democrats. You know, there's even the possibility of Republicans winning the Senate, in which case Senator James Inhofe would be in charge. And, of course, there is no greater climate change denier than Senator Inhofe. So he would be in charge in the Senate, and if Republicans win the House, then there's Congressman Barton, the one who apologized to BP, would be in charge.
Energy issues are a #1 priority for many Democratic Party supporters, many Barack Obama supporters. Many of them are here in Las Vegas at the Netroots Nation convention. What does this cost President Obama and the Democrats with the Netroots Nation, with supporters who are passionate about this issue?
It costs a lot in enthusiasm and it costs a lot in trust. But for me, this is a beyond left and right issue. This is an issue about the future of this country. Just as this bill collapsed, to have China actually announcing all these new plans about cap and trade. So we have China leading the way, and we have America falling behind. Not good for our future.
Ariana Huffington of the Huffington Post. Thanks for your time tonight, Ariana.
Thank you, Lawrence.